Street fighting is an attitude. It's a philosophy, a thought process of outthinking your competition, not outspending them. Street fighters think differently than most people. They solve problems creatively. They take advantage of opportunity without spending a fortune. Let me tell you a story about a very successful stockbroker. He used to drive to work every day on the East Coast. Before he'd get to work, he'd have to pay a toll. Before this stockbroker would pay his toll, the first thing he would do is look in his rearview mirror. Now, if in that mirror he saw a Cadillac, a Lincoln, Mercedes, any kind of car of that stature, he not only paid his toll, he'd pay the toll of the person behind him. Take out a business card, write a note on the back, hand it to the toll booth attendant, say, please take care of my very good friend behind me. He'd drive on off. Guy would pull up ready to pay the toll. The guy in the booth says, sir, you can go right on through. Your good friend took care of it for you. He goes, my good friend, what are you talking about? What's going on here? He hands him the business card. The note on the back said, if you think this is an interesting way of getting your attention, think of all the creative things I could do for your portfolio. He got more new clients off a 90-cent toll than all the expensive advertising and marketing his company did for him. Now, I know what you're thinking. I'm not a stockbroker. I don't have to pay a toll to get to work. What does this have to do with me? Well, one of the first basic concepts of street fighting is there's nothing new under the sun. It's all been done before, which in itself is not a new idea. But we look for small improvements on existing successful programs. Find something that works, modify it, adapt it, adjust it, tweak it a little bit, make it work for you. One of my favorite examples of beating the big guys has happened in Denver, Colorado. Mom and pop pizza chain. Had 3 units specializing in pizza delivery. That's all they did. Kids ran one unit, another kid ran another unit, mom and dad ran the main unit. They lived and died by their yellow page advertising. Back then, you wanted a pizza delivered, you looked in the pizza section of the yellow pages, and there on page 3 was this little ad, but it worked fine for years. Then Domino's started their major expansion. And they started going across the country, they move into Denver, they sell a bunch of franchises, they start spending a fortune in advertising, including a full-page yellow page ad. Now, this is the first time you ever saw a yellow page ad full size in Denver. And this had red and blue, so you can imagine on a monthly basis it cost a fortune. Naturally, Domino's gets page 1 of the pizza section. On the back of the Domino's ad, there's 4 major competitors. Poor mom and pop kid shoved to page 5, which meant when the new yellow page book was released, his sales instantly started to drop. What do you do? How do you compete? Well, he was a street fighter. Within 10 days, he runs a campaign that says, bring us the Domino's yellow page ad out of the phone book and to my locations, I'll give you 2-for-1 pizzas. People were ripping them out and bringing them in. They were going in the phone booths and ripping them out. You couldn't find a Domino's yellow page ad anywhere in Denver. Domino's was upset. They had to pay for that ad for another 11 and a half months. Matter of fact, while we're talking about competition, I don't know if you read this one last year. There was a McDonald's in Virginia Beach, Virginia, on a peninsula that had no direct competition. It was the only fast food restaurant in this one area. It was doing over $2 million a year, almost twice the national average. Wendy's finds out about it, which is based in my hometown of Columbus, Ohio. Wendy's finds out about this and says, we got to be there. I mean, what, 20, 30% market share, we're making money. We can't lose. Wendy's decides to build a unit literally next door to the McDonald's. They're all excited. They're going to have this huge grand opening. They're planning all this huge events. They're going to have balloons and clowns and everything there. And they figure, okay, during the grand opening, with the media hype and the excitement, we could run that up to 35, 40, maybe 50% market share. We'll settle in from there, and we're going to have an extremely profitable unit. The franchisee was planning his retirement. On the day of the grand opening, which was advertised well in advance, the McDonald's owner puts up a big banner on his store. He says, in honor of our new neighbors, we will be closed. Go visit them. Now, Wendy's was anticipating 40 to 50% market share that day. They weren't anticipating 100% market share that day. Let me ask you a question. What's the main reason you go to a fast food restaurant? Okay, now, if you're standing in line for an hour and a half to get your double with cheese, a side of chili, are you going to be happy? People were waiting in line for hours. They were starting to complain. They were putting pressure on the kitchen. And then the worst thing that could happen at a Wendy's at about 12 o'clock happens. They ran out of meat. Something you don't want to do at a Wendy's. People in the back of the line were yelling, where's the beef? They got such a bad reputation from that grand opening experience, the unit was forced to shut down 90 days later. Now, that McDonald's owner was smart. That's why we call it street fighting. He was protecting his turf. He used creativity and dealt with his competition. We can't always do it that distinctively, but he was able to solve his problem. West Coast hair salon, very successful. This guy did everything right. Priced his haircuts at $15, mid-range for the marketplace. Good customer service. He'd go to all the conventions, learn the newest styles. After a couple of years, you start seeing the same faces every 4, 6, 8 weeks. Built up a loyal clientele, very successful business. Then a new shopping center is built directly across the street from his salon. In that shopping center, they put in one of those discount haircut franchises, Fantastic Sam's. Do you have those around here? You know what I'm talking about? It's like the McDonald's of haircuts. They put in one of those. The Fantastic Sam's guy buys the billboard right in front of the shopping center with nothing but a plain blue background, plain white letters. It simply said, "We give $6 haircuts." Now think about it. There's all these people going to their $15 haircut appointments over the course of a month. They see a huge sign across the street, "We give $6 haircuts." They quickly do the math, probably even without a calculator, figure, hey, that's a lot cheaper, let's give them a shot. And a lot of his so-called loyal customers start going across the street. What's he going to do? How's he going to compete? Well, he buys the billboard in front of his own salon, uses the same blue background, same plain white letters he put, "We fix $6 haircuts." That turned him around. What's the reason people buy? Is it price or is it something else that you offer? Let me share with you some direct mail tactics that can be adapted to the sales process very easily. They get a better than average response. Denise Crawford has a quick print shop in Solon, Ohio. Solon is a suburb of Cleveland. It's right near that fish place, SeaWorld. She was at her annual convention in Las Vegas for quick printers. And while she's there, she gets this brainstorm. She's staying at the MGM Grand. She buys up 400 picture postcards of the MGM Grand. Gets a good deal because she bought a bunch of them. Takes them home. Looks up 400 names in the bold-faced listings of the white pages of businesses that just off the top of her head she did not recognize as being her customer. Highlights them. Has the kids after school hand address the postcards to those 400 businesses. On the reverse side of that full-color postcard, prints the message, "Don't gamble with your printing needs. Bring this postcard in for a 10% savings on your first order." Mails them at the postcard rate, which is, what is that now? Like 23 cents versus 37, so at a good rate. Mails them out. She gets 100 redemptions out of 400, a 25% return. Unheard of in direct mail. What was it about her postcard that got her that kind of response? What do you think? It's different. What makes it different? What makes it work? Handwritten certainly helped. What else? They looked at it. Why did they look at it? Yeah, it didn't look like junk mail. If you get a picture postcard from Vegas, you look at it, who right in Vegas, and how much did they win? You turn it over, don't gamble when you need whatever it is you sell. See, the problem with most mailing pieces, whether it's sales letters, postcards, notes, whatever it is 99% of it's in the trash before it even gets read. You send a picture postcard from Vegas, at least it's going to get looked at before it goes to the trash. And that's half the battle. How many of you send out Christmas cards every year to your customers? And what kind of return on investment do you get? Why not send them at a different time? First of all, why don't Christmas cards work? Everybody sends out Christmas cards. I look at my office, we got a whole wall full. There's no one person I could single out from that. But how many people actually send Thanksgiving Day cards? I have a buddy that does that. It gets impact. How many people send Halloween cards? It's scary not to have a good real estate agent. It's frightening not to work with the best insurance agent. Nobody does that. I mean, think about starting from the first of the year, there's a lot of opportunities. What's our next holiday coming up? Valentine's. We love doing business with you. After Valentine's Day, what's our next holiday? St. Pat. We're going to save you some green. Give us a call. There is one exception to the rule about Christmas cards, by the way. My father-in-law told me about his uncle in the garment business. Every year they would send their Christmas cards out. They'd do it October. They'd start the process, get them printed special, and have one of the interns hand address it and put the stamps on it. And they'd wait for like the day after Thanksgiving when they'd mail out their 500 Christmas cards. Well, one year they forgot to mail them out. Just forgot. The following May, someone's in the back room cleaning out some stuff out of the closet. Guess what they find? A box full of Christmas cards, addressed, stamped, ready to go. What do you do with them? Mail them. They stuck them in the mail. Starting 3 days later, they started getting calls from their customers. You wouldn't believe what the post office did to your Christmas card this year. And while they were on the phone during the worst month of their season, people started giving them orders. It was the most successful mailing they ever did. One of the things we talked about earlier, it's so important to the relationship we build with our customers, more than just the selling techniques themselves, is if you make a promise to a customer or a client, you must keep it, no matter what it costs, no matter what it takes. That's one of our Street Fighter philosophies. It scares a lot of people because it means it may cost you some money. It means you could lose money on a deal. But we're looking at the long haul. Now, as frightening as that is, I did have an opportunity to practice what I preach. It's about 8 years ago, I believe, last March. I was booked to do a program in Marco Island, Florida, for the Sony Corporation. They were having this convention down there. It's a week-long convention starting on a Monday. The whole theme was taking it to the streets. And the Street Fighter program was the kickoff keynote. Well, 6 months goes by a lot faster than you possibly can imagine. It's Monday morning, 2 a.m. I stroll into the house. I was out doing research. There's a light blinking on the machine. I listen to the message. It's my brother Mark, my business partner. He says, panicked. He says, call me. It's an emergency. I call him up and said, did somebody get hurt? What's up? He goes, you're supposed to be in Marco Island in 7 hours. So what are you talking about? That's next Monday. He goes, look at your calendar. And I look at the calendar, and my heart stops. Now, I don't know to this day how I did it, but I just totally spaced it. Here I am in Columbus, Ohio. Guess how many nonstop flights you can get from Columbus, Ohio to Marco Island, Florida at 2 in the morning. I call the client. He's in a panic. He goes, what am I going to do? My boss is going to fire me. The whole theme is based on street fighting. I said, let me see what I can do. I'll call you back. I grab the yellow pages. I know it's a long shot. I look up charter flights. Finally, after the 10th try, I call this 800 number. It's an air ambulance service. I said, I have a medical emergency. I need to be in Marco Island by 9 o'clock this morning. What's the nature of your emergency, sir? If I don't get there by 9 o'clock, a guy down there is going to kill me. Oh, do you have any major credit cards? I said, I have all of them. What do you need? Turns out they have these Learjet ambulances on 30-minute standby at different cities throughout the country. The one closest to Columbus was in Detroit. It comes with a pilot, a co-pilot, and a registered nurse. It's a package deal. They could be in Columbus within the hour. It's just a 2-hour flight right to Marco. They could get me there well before my 9 o'clock deadline. Go to Lane Aviation in Columbus. I have maybe 40, 45 minutes before my plane is due to land, and I'm in the executive waiting area now. So about 3 o'clock, one little night light on. I'm pacing back and forth. There's no cups or glasses, so I'm drinking out of my 2-liter bottle of Diet Coke, right out of the 2-liter bottle. It was nicely chilled. And I'm giving myself positive affirmations. You stupid, you idiot, you dummy. And within about 25 minutes, I polished off the entire 2-liter bottle with caffeine. I don't need a plane. They land about 10 minutes later. I take off. They land the plane. I'm ready to leave. The pilot says, how long are you going to be? So I got a keynote speech followed with a breakout. I'll sign some books, answer some questions. I'll be done by noon at the latest. We'll wait. Return trip was free because they had to go back anyway. But guess how much it costs one way going down? Matter of fact, I just repriced it just for the heck of it this year. If you had to take that same exact trip under those circumstances this year, what do you think it cost? $15,000. And no freaking flyer miles. They did give me lunch. That wasn't my problem. You know what? It didn't matter what it cost me. Because when I showed up, they were thrilled to death. Usually they wait till you're done to have an opinion. I just showed up and they were happy. That was pretty cool. And the reason I share the story with you is this. Because of what I was willing to do for that client, it was my mistake. I messed up. I admitted it. Fortunately, I was able to fix it. But because of what I was able to do, they've called me back a number of times since. Not only that, it's such a crazy example of taking care of the customer. They've told other companies about it, and they've called me. What I've been able to track so far is it's actually paid for itself tenfold. It never costs you to take care of those customers in the long run. It pays you.